Let's fail together. And this time, let's attempt to make a drawing. But we're gonna make this drawing with crayons. Going back to the basics and seeing how hard could it be.
So I ended up using the sketchbook I've been using for other projects in this series. And the purpose behind this series is to embrace the mess with trying something new. And I thought, why not see what I can do with crayons? It's been a while. I haven't really used them since I was a child. And I started off making a quick crayon sketch. I decided I wanted to do a flower drawing. As you can see, the sketch is very rough. I'm trying to figure out proportions of things, trying to make them look a little bit better. And then just kind of mapping out what the entire composition will be, using kind of light markings so I can easily go over them with other crayon colors. And then I added in some blocking out for other colors within the composition. I think the biggest issue I ran into this entire piece was I had a tendency of using too much pressure with these crayons. So I tried to start off pretty light, which I was able to start off lighter. But as I added in other layers to add more dimension to this composition, that's where I ran into issues. Because as you add in more and more layers, the surface gets waxier, and it gets harder to really create any more layers with the crayons. And so at times I would scrape off some of the layers with my fingernails and then attempt to draw on top of it. But the surface definitely got to a point where it was pretty overworked. Right here, I'm trying to add a little bit more dimension to the flowers by adding in some blues, some purples, some reds, and then as well as trying to map out more of those colors in the background. It was definitely an interesting process of seeing how I could approach crayons now that I've made artwork in other mediums and, as an adult with kind of a vision in mind. And it was a struggle. Here I'm adding in some heavier layers, and this is where the issues started to present themselves. I wasn't quite happy with the dimensions of the flower. I thought okay, I had some of the shadows and highlights down, but it still just seemed kind of off, so I ended up going in with an acrylic paint marker to add in some details. And that's where you see kind of the outlines and the white there. And unfortunately, there was one casualty with one crayon that broke, which was that purple crayon. I tried to not use too much pressure, but as the layers build up, it was hard not to. And I did like using this acrylic paint marker on top to just kind of make things look a little bit better, a little more drawn. And here's the finished piece.
So it turns out it was very hard. I have a new level of respect for artists who are able to make artwork entirely from crayons and make it look really good. This was a bit of a struggle, so another successful failure. I tried, an attempt was made, and I did have to cheat by using some white acrylic paint markers to kind of clean things up and get it looking a little bit better. But ultimately, it was kind of tough to not overwork the surface and then run into issues with too much wax buildup. So I tried. It's a difficult medium and it will definitely require a lot more practice.